Hey there, I'm Denise. Welcome to my channel. This is the space where we overcome our fears by doing adventures. And so this whole series is all about the adventures of the first-time backpacker. And yes, that's me. I went on my first self-supported, nobody else helping me backpacking trip. Me. I went on my first self-supported, nobody else helping me backpacking trip. Now I know I just accidentally said bikepacking because that's how you usually see me. If you've actually watched my channel, you know I'm really into biking and cycling and bikepacking. But I wanted to try backpacking. And so some of the reasons why I wanted to do backpacking was I wanted to be able to sleep out in nature away from other people and to not have city noises and lots of other things. I just wanted to be able to sleep out and not in a campground, because y'all know I probably have ranted on my channel at some point about how much I hate campgrounds. So in this Adventures of a First-Time Backpacker series, you're going to see how we plan to do it. You're going to see how we planned the route we were going to go on. You're also going to see what happened on the trail. I'm not pulling any punches. So you're going to see the struggles, you're going to see the triumphs, and you're going to see lots. Did I mention lots? Lots of rookie mistakes. And I'm going to take you all the way through it because I think that's important. I'm a first timer doing these things and I'm not an expert, but hopefully what you do is you watch this and go, okay, this is how she thought through her processes on doing something for the first time. Maybe I'll do it this way, or maybe, oh, she didn't do that so well, maybe I should research that. So yes, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to learn from my mistakes because I'm going to learn them for you. So my backpacking planning started way before I actually hit the trail. I ended up, well, let's see here. Well, we can actually go back a little further because my bikepacking gear actually works really well for backpacking. And that's something that I absolutely love, is that I can still use my sleeping pad, my sleeping bag, my tent, my cook system. There were a lot of things that crossed right over, first aid kit, cooking utensils, that kind of thing. Just that it all came over because it was all pretty lightweight and I could get it into the back. So some of that stuff came over with me. Some of the stuff that didn't, that I had to start from scratch on, was an actual backpack. I didn't have a backpack. And I will tell you, I ended up buying this right here. So this is not a promo. Of course, I wouldn't pay me. I'm such a little channel. Why would anybody pay me for anything? Anyways, so I got the REI Co-op Trail 40. This is a women's fit medium. And see, it's got nice padding on the back. And I like this pack. It's a weekender pack. So I knew that if I was going to start out backpacking, that I didn't want to get one of the top load big packs yet, because I don't know if I'm going to dig it well enough to get one of those big packs. And I was just looking for a weekender pack because you know what? This will serve me well for everything that I'm doing, just in adventures to begin with. So yeah, so that's what I ended up getting. So the other big thing I had to get was a water filtration system. And as you can see, I went with the Sawyer squeeze because, well, everyone that I had watched on backpacking videos, a lot of them used the Sawyer, and it looked like it went really well, and they made it seem so easy to use. So I was like, well, I'm going to use that one because that one looks simple. Wasn't quite so simple, but hey, that's okay. It still, it worked in the end. I didn't get a bacteria in my gut, so now I had acquired all of what I needed to do to go backpacking. Now it was time to figure out, how to really go backpacking. So I had to A, figure out how to carry the weight, and B, figure out what I was going to do for my first trip. So one of my friends, she also wanted to learn how to backpack. We shared this huge disdain for campgrounds. So ideally, the wonderful idea of sleeping out in the woods away from other people sounded magical. And we both liked that idea. So we wanted to be able to test the water somehow. So by test the waters, we wanted to find a hiking spot where we could be close to the car, but not close to the car, like a mile in or so, but still had that safety net that the car was really close. So we were looking for a spot like that, and we set a weekend. We were like, okay, this is the weekend we're gonna go. And so this gave me 2 weeks until that planned weekend that we were gonna go backpacking. That gave me 2 weeks to figure out how to load all the crap into the backpack and learn how to carry the weight of the backpack without destroying my back, my legs, my core, my shoulders, everything that has you with that pack. So what I set out to do was is try to just build up the strength within that 2 weeks so that I could carry that weight even just a mile into a trail. But still, I just wanted to figure out how to do it. So I gathered up my sleep system, my sleeping pad, sleeping bag, tent, and my cook system. I gathered all that up and I threw it in the bag. And you probably know, maybe you know this if you have watched my bikepacking videos, and you know that I break out my tent so it's not in the bag, because the bag is annoying and odd shaped, and it's easier just to have the rain fly thrown somewhere and the body of the tent thrown somewhere, and the stakes and the poles thrown somewhere else. It's just easier that way bikepacking, and it's easier that way backpacking too. So I just threw it all in the bag and I headed to my neighborhood park, which is a paved trail, by the way. Put on the pack, I cinched it up. There's cinches on here so that you can make it fit tighter around you. Same thing with your hip belt. And then I basically tried to fit it like people had recommended on, I don't know, the countless YouTube videos that I watched about people giving tips on how to wear a pack. I probably watched 30 videos on how to wear a pack. They're out there. I won't tell you how to wear a pack because I'm still new at this and still figuring it out myself, but I'll tell you that if all you want to do is search how to wear a backpack, you will find it. So I figured out, I got it all cinched up and snug, and in that little park, I walked 4 miles around that little park. And I know I looked really strange probably to other people, but this is what you do when you're trying out something new. You figure it out in your space of what you have available. And what I had available was a neighborhood park really close that I could, put a pack on my back and walk really 4 miles or whatever. So in that 4-mile walk, I was really like looking for, what my body felt like, and really getting cues, because, with bikepacking and cycling and stuff, you get to know, where your pain points are and where things just aren't feeling right. And with backpacking, because it's such a different way to, carry weight and different ways your muscles are working than backpacking. So I would say if you are a bikepacker and you don't backpack, but you want to get into backpacking, although the gear translates, the muscle usage and things is not the same. I was looking for, what's going to tweak my back, because I got to tell you, the whole reason why I wanted to prepare and use that 2 weeks to prepare is I am not in my 20s anymore. I can't just go from the couch to a trail like that and think I'm going to be successful and not get injured, really. And that's what I would recommend to you if you are sitting there in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and want to get out and do this. Just prep ahead, like I tried to do. I think that playing it smart is a great idea. It's great to be able to just jump into an activity and do it. But I'm in my 40s. I know that my body, doesn't want to do that right off the bat. So I need to be careful of especially my back and things. So that's why after that first day of going to the park and doing that 4 miles, I really wanted to test and see how everything felt. And then for the next 2 weeks, I wore that pack around the house doing chores. I wore that pack mowing one day. I mowed with it on. I know I looked silly mowing my lawn with a pack on, but it was good practice, and I was building my back up. I went for dog walks. Dog walks were really fun because I had this pack on. I'm walking my little beagle, and I think people are looking at me like, is she homeless? You know, I know there's that hiker homeless. I think I was, you know, looking more homeless because I was in a neighborhood with it. So it was fun. And then I hit some of the local trails just to see what, you know, what they felt like, and, you know, doing ups and downs. And, you know, I also went to the Falls of Ohio State Park, which I put in another video kind of showcasing it. But there's like a cliff wall. And so I climbed up and down that a little bit, just to see what climbing felt like with a pack on, because having something and then trying to bend over with weight up here, you know, what's that going to feel like, and can my core support that? And what I found out is, yes, my body felt good during that whole 2 weeks. You know, I felt pretty good going into the hike. Now I will tell you that the weight that once we got everything into our packs, including food and water, yeah, it wasn't comparable to what I was doing in practice. So if I'd say the biggest tip I can tell you on the head prep is go ahead and add more weight to it for food and water so that you can get a real estimate of what that's going to feel like. Because yeah, food and water added a huge amount of weight to it, and I had no idea that it would. So, all right, so then it was time for the actual trip. It was, you know, it was the weekend of the trip. And so we had actually planned to go to Red River Gorge. Red River Gorge is a beautiful spot in eastern Kentucky. If you've never been, you should definitely go to Red River Gorge. It is gorgeous. I know the Adventure Archives guys have been there a couple times, and they just shot it beautifully. But it's a gorgeous place. And, you know, with the gorge and the Red River flowing through it, it's just, it's beautiful. So we thought this would be a great spot because there are lots of trailheads with sites within a mile really close on a lot of the areas. There are a lot of spots like that there. So we knew we could probably get to one of those spots. But unfortunately, the weekend came and the weather decided to just dump the biggest, you know, severe thunderstorm with torrential rains and flooding to eastern Kentucky. So we were like, nah, I'm not doing that. There's nothing worse than your first experience being in a traumatic event that you can get yourself out of if you take an alternate. So we decided to, instead of going to Red River Gorge, we went to South Central Indiana. So if you look at Indiana and Kentucky, the Ohio River runs here. Well, a lot of the storms either go south or north of there. So this storm system all went south. So Indiana looked beautiful. So we were like, all right, let's go to southeastern Indiana, which is Hoosier National Forest. And lots of state forests around there. So we picked Yellowwood State Forest, which I've been to Yellowwood before. Yellowwood is a great park. I've camped there just as a regular, you know, campground guest. But my friend had found out that they had some hiking spots. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we had planned to go to Yellowwood. And then because we were going to go for the whole weekend and do 2 nights, we were like, okay, well, if Yellowwood goes really good, you know, if we do really good at Yellowwood, let's go over to Morgan Monroe State Forest and do like a part or all of the Low Gap Trail. Let's, you know, gradually get better. And so we said, well, let's do the Low Gap Trail, because the Low Gap Trail, when you go to All Trails and some of these other places, and this, I will have to link it below because I can't remember, but it's a hiking project out of Indiana. And I'll hopefully put it in this video somewhere. But anyways, the hiking project actually like previewed all of these places you could go and told you all about the terrain and the water supplies and the established campsites along the trail. And so the low gap trail looked great. A lot of people were like, hey, this is great for beginners. It's a great trail to start out on. So we were like, sweet, we're doing that. We'll do Yellowwood. And then if we feel comfortable, we'll go over and do the low gap trail. And so that's how we set out. So, all right, what you're getting right now is day one of Yellowwood. And I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to give anything away. Yellowwood was gorgeous. We saw the most gorgeous sunset, and you're going to see it, and it is just magical. It was just a magical night. But I'll tell you, we woke up on day two, and let's say overnight on day one didn't go as planned. I'm not going to give anything away, but you're going to want to stick around for episode 2 so that you can see what day 2 was like, because let's just say it was a learning experience, and we'll just leave it there. So let's hop in to the actual trail and our first day of hiking backpacking. Here we go. All right, we just did a little hike in. That's what we're doing, is just testing out our stuff and just doing these little hike-ins where the car is not that far away. So we just hiked in, and here's our spot. How cool is that? It's so peaceful out here. So let me show you my accommodations. All right, so we have just this. I went with a 2-man tent because I also am a bike tourist, and I like to be able to fit my panniers in my tent and not out in the little vestibule area. So got my little marmot, little sleeping bag on top of my little sleeping pad. I got a nice little shelf up here that I keep my phone and my light and my wallet, and then water over there. So pretty easy little setup, right? Okay, now I need to match up the little things. There we go. Now put it down in the insulator. Oh yeah, look at that. Dinner. This is way better than hammocking in my backyard. Look behind me. There's a lake. There's my tent. And more of the lake. Ah, oh, so good. Cheers. So we ended up spending the night at an organized campground that we had to set up in the dark.
What? What the heck? How did we end up like this? Stay tuned for episode 2, where you find out just how we ended up in that organized campground. Also, did we continue our backpacking trip that weekend? You're going to find out in episode 2.